Yeah, there we go. All right, welcome to tonight's high school orchestra concert. In front of you is the chamber orchestra, and we will be performing our in one work, the Shostakovich String Quartet for String Orchestra. But before that, I just wanted to make my few quick announcements. I realized that I loved the format that we did in December with our holiday concert, but it provided no opportunity to make announcements. So before I do that, I would like to first recognize, going all the way back to the end of January, the students that were in the All-State Orchestra. If they would please stand, or actually all our students, anyone on stage who was at the All-State Conference, if you would stand and be recognized, please. And included in that, going all the way back to November, I believe, I would also like to recognize one of these students. In front of you, you see the different sections of the orchestra, and where Ben came out, he is what's called the concert master. And the concert master is the, so to speak, the leader or representative of the orchestra in a professional setting. So he is the liaison between the conductor, who tends to be an outside hired source, contractual individual, and then versus, sometimes, the members of the orchestra. So the concert master is that liaison. Within that, each of the sections, they have what they call the principal player. And in this case, traditionally, on the years that we have a principal player or a concert master at the IMEA District Orchestra or at the All-State Orchestra, I'd like to give them a special recognition as well. So this year, Miss Julia Lowe was the concert master of the IMEA District Orchestra. Not only was she the, so to speak, the #1 violinist that was seated in the audition process, but she was that leader, so to speak, of the entire orchestra. So special kudos to Julia. And then the last recognition is just a few weeks ago, we had our solo and ensemble competition, our state Illinois high school contest in Harvard High School. And I would like to recognize all those who participated in the solo and ensemble. If you would stand and be recognized, please. Right. So just a few notes about the piece that we're playing with the Shostakovich. There's a reason why usually the chamber orchestra plays second, but we decided to put them first because when you compare the repertoire of tonight's concert, you'll probably see that mean that it's the end of the quarter and we're approaching spring break and the weather's changing. We didn't want to end this concert on one of the most depressing pieces ever written in the history of music. So, but this piece came about, this was not a part of the original programming. I had a bunch of pieces that I was thinking about playing with them, and I kept what we call sight reading. I kept giving them music just to try out and see where they're at, and they kept achieving this music too quickly, and I realized, like, wait, that's too easy for them. That's too easy. And I said, hey, I tried this piece once before, and it was a complete disaster about 10 years ago. And I was like, all right, we'll never get to play it. It's really hard. And I said, you know what? I have a feeling about this. And I said, let's try it. And we read it, and it was a complete disaster. But then I said, you know, I felt something. So I was like, you know what? Let's try it one more time. And by golly, the second time, it was still pretty bad, but way better, way better than I've ever heard a group do it. So I was like, hey, and a couple of them, half the orchestra was like, hey, we should give this a shot. This is kind of cool. And the other half was like, please don't do this. So I sided with them. I'm a big Shostakovich fan. And so here's what makes it so exciting is that some of the best groups the groups that I hear that are able to achieve the Shostakovich String Quartet arranged for orchestra are some of the greatest high school programs in the country. And I had never dreamed that I would get the opportunity to have a group to be able to do that. And sure enough, here's our chance. So despite its depressing, dark, somber mood, I hope you as an audience, at least you won't go out happy, but you appreciate the magnitude of this piece. Shostakovich lived in communist Russia. He wrote this piece in 3 days in 1960. And the big thing about this, as he quotes, he dedicates this, the memory of the victims of fascism and war. And he was single-handedly outed by Stalin himself. Stalin did not like Shostakovich, and at certain points in his life, his music was banned from being performed. So he was a very, very unhappy person. And the meaning of that is that it's one of the composers where you can actually truly hear and feel his heart and how heartbroken he is and just demoralized as a human being. And so his music, a lot of his stuff is just written and to counteract that communist government and Stalin himself. They literally, Stalin wrote things about Shostakovich, and Shostakovich put hidden meanings, making fun of Stalin, criticizing Stalin in his music. So I hope you feel the emotional thing. This is a big thing in our school now, is addressing our social and emotional things and getting students to express themselves. And I hope they live up to the challenge. There's one more thing. I know I'm talking about this piece, but there's so much about this piece. I don't know, cellos. You're right there. Yeah. Okay. Play the first 4 notes. They're going to play the first 4 notes of this piece. I'll just give you each one. Ready? Okay. Those notes, does anyone know what they are? Anyone perfect pitch? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. The notes on this is D, E flat, C, and B natural. What is the significance of that? The first note, D, is D for Dimitri. The next note is E, E flat. The point is E flat. In German, E flat is E with a lowercase s, and the Germans pronounce that note S. So S. The next note, B flat, is, am I doing that right? C. Oh, the next note is C. So S, C, and then the last note is B natural. And B natural in German is written as an H. So D, S, C, H. He uses those 4 letters for Dmitri Shostakovich. So he incorporated his name. So you're going to hear that throughout the entire piece, those 4 letters. And he did it. Johann Sebastian Bach did it. Lots of composers who had names that could fit the musical alphabet, A through G, incorporated their name or their initials into the music, and this is one of them. So anytime you hear, one more time, that's Dmitri Shostakovich paying tribute to himself, I guess. So we hope maybe you won't be joyed with this piece, but you will be inspired and moved emotionally. So. Thank you again. On stage, we have now the concert orchestra. They will be performing 3 pieces. I want to do some quick acknowledgments again. One more time, if we could acknowledge all the IMEA district participants, if you would stand, going all the way back to November or October or something like that. Please stand to be recognized. All right, our final 3 pieces with this orchestra. No more or just as compelling as the Shostakovich, not quite as dark though. So, I just one more comment about that. I hope you appreciated what they did and the achievement that they do. In the end, I've always gotten mixed feedback when I program pieces like that, and if you know me, I'm a pretty serious person myself, but I want you to understand this, especially for those who are not directly affiliated with the orchestra program, you don't have children in the program. My first obligation to your children is education, not entertainment. So sometimes I do program pieces that you may not walk away with feeling happy or joyous about, in terms of what we program, but all the pieces that I play, my first consideration when I pick music is, will they learn something about this? Is this important to them? And so I hope that you can at least walk away understanding that, yes, when you go to the Chicago Symphony or you pay to go hear the Kishwaukee Symphony, there is a part that when they pick music, they have to pick something that entertains the audience. I feel like that's part of my job, but mostly my job is to entertain. So I don't feel guilty about programming that piece that you had to sit through. So I hope you appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you. I'll keep it brief. One short little story about this piece. The Wagner that they're playing, which is neat, when I was saying he was equally as compelling, is that Wagner, if you know, Wagner is a German composer. If you've seen Warner Brothers and Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Kill the Rabbit, those are all based off of Wagner operas. You actually grew up watching operas and probably didn't even know that. But Wagner comes with a dark side, and it's neat that I could have, even with an orchestra mostly comprised of underclassmen, that we could have a serious discussion about the challenges of playing Wagner, because he was alive during the Nazi regime, and there's evidence that he may or may not have been a Nazi sympathizer, and his music has had such an impact on modern composers. Thank John, we wouldn't have John Williams and all the Star Wars stuff if it wasn't for Wagner. John Williams basically stole half of his stuff from Richard Wagner. And so he's such an influential composer that we study him. But it comes with a dark side. And so the challenges in some countries and some cultures in this world, they actually, the same sort of thing of censorship, and they banned playing Wagner's music because of the sensitivity of his political background. And so I want to commend, I think it's Constance and Charlotte, in their social studies class, they had to do, I don't know, what was it, a debate or something like that, or an argumentative sort of thing. They're too shy to tell me what it is. And so it was something about the debate. And so they went on their own, not even inspired by me, but on their own. That was their topic, is that does art and politics, do they conflict, and should one affect the other? And I thought that was pretty awesome that they came up with that as a topic. So I thought you'd appreciate that they're taking what we do in this class and going beyond and applying it to some of the stuff that they do in other classes. So I won't talk anymore. The rest of the concert, we'll just play our 3 pieces. Okay, I did forget one thing. So, would the students who participated in the IHSA solo and ensemble contest, if you would stand and be recognized, please.